two-time champ Porter. Please check out Jay Calderon Boxing Talk on YouTube. God bless you.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy, Jay Calderon, Stand Clear Entertainment, and we're about to get into this week's Boxing Talk. We're going to do a recap over the big mega fight that took place this past weekend when IBF welterweight champion Errol "The Truth" Spence defended his title in front of 47,000 plus fans in AT&T Stadium where the Dallas Cowboys play. It was his hometown where he put on a spectacular display of boxing skills against 4-division world champion Mikey Garcia. This fight right here was a very big fight where a lot of boxing fans and celebrities were on hand to tune in for this fight. And just like I said in my previous video, that Errol Spence would win a unanimous 12-round decision against Mikey Garcia. A lot of people were saying that Errol Spence was going to knock out Mikey Garcia because Garcia was coming up 2 weight classes from the lightweight division to take on a very big welterweight. And people expected this man to get knocked out. But I knew that his tremendous heart and that his experience would guide him through 12 rounds. And it wasn't easy because Mikey Garcia could not get past that very good jab of Errol Spence. Spence had an excellent jab in there. He kept Mikey Garcia on the outside throughout the fight. He was just basically boxing and putting on a clinic, setting up his shots with his combinations and that beautiful left hand that kept on landing at will against Mikey Garcia. Garcia just couldn't find his rhythm. He couldn't find his way inside because every time he got on the inside, Errol Spence was superb with his combinations, that he was just ripping off shots. What he didn't do, what I expected more of, was going to the body early. You know, he didn't really go early to the body. He mostly boxed throughout this fight, and he showed a very good boxing IQ to really offset what Mikey Garcia was trying to do. Mikey couldn't get off the jab, he couldn't let off his own body shots, and he couldn't put up combination punches. Mikey was landing less than 10 punches per round, and that was not good at all. I only had Mikey winning 1 round, the second round, where he did really good in that round against Errol Spence, where he was able to back Errol Spence to the ropes and let off some good shots. But after that, it was all Errol Spence. Spence was dominant throughout this fight, and he looked superb. In the second half of the fight, he started to go to the body, and you saw that Mikey Garcia was very bothered by those body shots, especially in the 9th round, where he was badly hurt in that round, and he looked like he was about to get put away in this fight. But you got to give Mikey a lot of credit. This guy has tremendous heart. He did not even hold throughout this fight. You know, if people really analyze and watch this fight, Mikey Garcia was not clinching in this fight. He wasn't holding. A veteran fighter, an experienced fighter, would definitely hold if he was badly in trouble, and he would try to survive by timing out the clock. The same way you saw Adrian Broner do when he got hurt against Manny Pacquiao. You know, it was shocking to see that Mikey Garcia did not hold throughout this fight. It was crazy, you know, and he just kept on taking a lot of punishment, that his corner was about to stop this fight. They wanted to stop this fight, and Garcia said, "Please, let me continue to fight this man." And he went out on his shield. He didn't even get dropped in this fight off his feet. And, you know, from a big guy like Errol Spence that was landing some clean shots, some very big bombs on Mikey Garcia. Not only that he didn't stop Mikey Garcia, but he didn't even knock down Mikey Garcia throughout this fight. So people should give Mikey Garcia a lot of credit that he was able to stand up against this man for 12 full rounds, even though I had it 11 rounds to 1. Some people even scored it a shutout for Errol Spence. It was a boxing clinic. But what does this really change? He beat a guy that's on the pound-for-pound list that was higher than him. Does that make him #1 pound-for-pound best fighter in the world? I don't see it that way. You know, Errol Spence is a great fighter. He's one of the best in the welterweight division. I still have him as #2 best welterweight in the world. This fight right here didn't change my opinion about what I already knew about Errol Spence, that he was going to win this fight by unanimous decision, that he was an excellent fighter, one of the best in the pound-for-pound rankings. But I still believe that Terrence Crawford is the best pound-for-pound fighter, #1 in the world. A lot of people will argue Vasily Lomachenko is. And then also Canelo Alvarez is in the running, because if he beats Daniel Jacobs, this man deserves to be right there in the talking of pound-for-pound #1. So Errol Spence has accomplished far less than what these men have accomplished already. Multiple world titles in different weight divisions and had good fights as well. So does Errol Spence really deserve the #1 spot just because fans really love Errol Spence, I'm a fan of his as well, and I picked him to win this fight, even though I wanted Mikey Garcia to win because I love Mikey Garcia as a fight fan. You know, this guy has been a tremendous fighter that has won titles in 4 different weight divisions, and he will be a future Hall of Famer. But if he was to have beaten Errol Spence, he would have had more of an impact on that pound-for-pound #1 spot, winning a title in a 5th weight class, making history, and being from the lightweight division to jump 12 pounds in weight to fight a very big welterweight. If he was able to win that fight, then he would definitely be heavily considered pound-for-pound #1, not Errol Spence. This was a no-win situation for Errol Spence from the jump because he was fighting such a small fighter. This just proved that a big, great fighter could beat a great, smaller fighter. That's it. And it was a big name on his resume with a very big payday for Errol Spence. That's all that he got. He didn't really get a lot of credit for this fight right here. He needs to fight guys like Keith Thurman, who is the #1 welterweight in the world because he's still a world champion. He's still undefeated. He's back in the ring after a long layoff, but he came off 2 back-to-back victories against 2 top welterweights, Sean Porter and Danny Garcia. Those guys were the top of the elite in the weight class, and he beat both of those guys before Errol Spence started to go on his run and started to look spectacular. So he is still #1, even though Errol is more active and he's getting good wins against Lamont Peterson, Kell Brook, and now Mikey Garcia. I don't see him as the #1 guy until he takes care of business against Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman is prolonging that fight because he wants to fight Manny Pacquiao because everyone is calling out Manny Pacquiao. Sean Porter is calling out Manny Pacquiao. And Errol Spence just had Manny Pacquiao in the ring and he called him out in front of 47,000 fans in attendance. And let's make this clear. It was a very big crowd on hand at the AT&T Stadium. You know, I have to make a correction on my last video. Canelo Alvarez holds the record of 51,000 fans at that stadium when he fought against Liam Smith. #2 is Manny Pacquiao versus Joshua Clottey with a record of over 50,000+ fans that came in attendance to watch him in that fight. And then comes Errol Spence against Mikey Garcia with over 47,000 fans. So Errol Spence now calling out Manny Pacquiao, who was in the ring, and he wants that big payday. He wants that big fight against a smaller 40-year-old Pacquiao. Doesn't put him in that #1 spot until he takes care of business against Keith Thurman and against Terrence Crawford to become the #1 welterweight and the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. In my book, he needs those fights to be able to become the superstar that he wants to be, to take over Floyd Money Mayweather's mantle and throne as pound-for-pound #1. That's what it's going to have to take. You know, boxing fans are quick to put him on that pedestal and say that he is the best fighter on the planet without proving it. Manny Pacquiao is not the same fighter that fought Antonio Margarito, that was a big fighter in front of him that he really took apart. Pacquiao could give Errol Spence a much more competitive fight than what Mikey Garcia did. But Manny Pacquiao in the end will come up as a loss against Errol Spence. We saw the trouble that he had against a very big Jeff Horn. Even though I believe Pacquiao won that fight against Jeff Horn gave Manny Pacquiao problems in that fight because of his size. And the size of Errol Spence, with the skill set that he has, will give Manny Pacquiao a lot of trouble, and I believe Pacquiao will lose that fight against Errol Spence. The reason why Manny Pacquiao signed to PBC wasn't because he was going to fight all these top names. He wants Floyd Mayweather. He wants that rematch desperately, and Mayweather and Al Heyman have convinced him that he will get that rematch. But Floyd Mayweather is just prolonging Manny Pacquiao because they want to make a lot of money promoting those fights and having him as the big money man in the welterweight division. He is the A-side when it comes to all the big fighters at welterweight division. So if Manny Pacquiao could produce that type of money and fight guys like Danny Garcia, which I believe when Danny Garcia beats Adrian Granado, that he's going to call out Manny Pacquiao as well. And I think that that's the fight that Manny Pacquiao is going to fight next. And then you have Keith Thurman that most likely will fight Sean Porter, and then who will fight a guy like Errol Spence? I believe it's going to be perhaps a stay busy fight against Luis Collazo, who just won over the past weekend. That's the type of fight that Errol Spence is going to get next. and he's going to be left on the side because all these guys are going to wind up fighting each other before he's the last man standing, and then they're forced to fight Errol Spence perhaps in 2020. Don't expect Errol Spence to fight any of these guys next unless Sean Porter is definitely going to step up and fight Errol Spence, and then Keith Thurman will have to look elsewhere to keep busy to get back to the form that he once was as a dominant fighter. As for Errol Spence, we have to just wait and see how this is going to play out for him. But I commend him on a great performance, an excellent showing in front of his hometown fans. And that's my final take and recap on the fight that took place. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in to this YouTube channel right here, J. Calderon Boxing Talk. Please hit that little red subscribe button, hit that bell icon, share this video, like this video. Also, drop a comment. Follow me on social media, on Twitter, on Instagram, and also on the Facebook boxing group page, all under the same name, J. Calderon Boxing Talk. I'm J. Calderon, Stand Clear Entertainment. Thanks for your support, keep watching, and please subscribe.